Hey everyone, and welcome to What Was That with Gabe Sanchez? In what can only be described as a familial October surprise, we found out Republican and pro-life candidate Herschel Walker paid for an abortion, but also, according to his son, his whole campaign has been a lie. If you don't know about Herschel Walker or his recent abortion story, oh boy, you're gonna wanna buckle up because this is gonna be a wild ride. Let me just set the stage for you. Herschel Walker is a pathological liar who is unqualified and unfit to run for US Senate in Georgia. For starters, he's not even really a Georgia resident. He lives in Texas, where he's declared Texas his homestead for tax purposes. And when Herschel filed his campaign paperwork to run in Georgia, the address he used was the home of his wife, Julie Blanchard. She'll come up again later. Anyway, this whole running for office in the state you claim to live in but actually don't is the same stunt that another Trump-endorsed candidate is pulling in Pennsylvania. New Jersey resident and puppy killer, Dr. Oz. But let's get back to Walker and his illustrious unqualified background.
I also was valedictorian in my class. I also was in the top 1% of my graduating class in college.
Not only was Herschel not valedictorian of his high school, he never graduated from the University of Georgia, let alone in the top 1%. And since we're on the topic of education, let's see how Herschel would prevent school shootings.
You know, he talked about doing a disinformation. What about getting a department that can look at young men that's looking at women that's looking at just social media?
Huh? Okay, let's just try something more fundamental, like evolution.
Science said man came from apes. If that is true, why are there still apes? Think about it.
All right, what about a stance on COVID?
Right now, I have something that can bring you into a building that will clean you from COVID as you walk through this dry mess. EPA, FDA approved.
Anytime I listen to Herschel Walker talk about something, I'm left with more questions than when I started. I feel like I'm watching an episode of Lost. I can just imagine the opening title now. Actually, you know what? This would be much quicker if I just gave you the full list.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
In my opinion, I think we should listen to Herschel Walker when he says things like,
You know, I'm not that smart.
as a Republican candidate, Herschel Walker checks all the right boxes, especially when it comes to abortion. No exceptions, even in the cases of rape, incest, or to save the mother's life. Well, actually, there's one exception. The Daily Beast has reported that Herschel Walker paid for a girlfriend's abortion in 2009. And just so we're clear, this is the same guy who wants to strip away women's rights. Hypocrisy, thy name is Herschel Walker. Now, if you recall back in June, the Daily Beast discovered that Herschel had 3 secret children, 2 sons and 1 daughter, which is very interesting since Herschel is an outspoken critic of absentee fathers in the black community.
And I want to apologize to the African American community because I know the fatherless home is a major, major problem.
So when the abortion story came out, Herschel tweeted that it was a flat-out lie. Even threatened to sue the Daily Beast for publishing the story. Yeah, so one major problem with Herschel claiming this is a lie, the Daily Beast literally has the $575 receipt from the Atlanta abortion clinic. So, according to Herschel, the life of a baby is only worth a $700 reimbursement check and about $4 for this generic Get Well card. And that's the moment his son, Christian Walker, entered the chat, or should I say Twitter. Christian sent a series of tweets attacking his father. According to Christian, everyone in the family asked Herschel not to run because they knew about his controversial past. This is very interesting because Christian has publicly supported his father running for US Senate since the very first day he announced.
Did all the Democrats have fun with an all-blue president, Congress, Senate? Did you live your best life? Well, hope you had fun, because the Senate's about to be red. Team Herschel.
And doing interviews on Fox News.
I think everyone's really excited that my dad, Herschel Walker, is taking the opportunity, and I think what's cool about it is he's already built this foundation of trust with fellow Georgians. They've watched his work ethic, his attention to detail throughout his entire career in and out of the state, so there's already a good rapport with them.
And even speaking at a fundraiser for him at Mar-a-Lago. But back to Christian's tweets. He also shared that Herschel was violent and has a habit of destroying people's lives, which lines up with what Herschel did to Christian's mom.
He held the gun to my temple and said he was going to blow my brains out.
And there was also this moment that Herschel wrote about in his book.
All I could think was how satisfying it would feel to squeeze the trigger.
So while Christian was tweeting this, Herschel went on to Sean Hannity's show to denounce the rumor.
The Get Well card, it looks like it's included with your signature in the article. Have you seen it, and is that your signature?
I haven't seen it, but I can tell you, I send out so many get well, send out so much of anything.
Then Herschel was asked about the $700 reimbursement check.
What about the $700 check? Is there anybody you can remember sending that much money to?
Well, I send money to a lot of people.
Well, there you have it, folks. Herschel Walker sends get well cards and money to a lot of people, so there's no need to call out his hypocritical family values any further. Now, if you thought the Walker family feud was over, guess again. Because the next day, Christian went onto social media to release two 2-minute videos going after his father.
He has 4 kids, 4 different women, wasn't in the house raising one of them. He was out having sex with other women. Do you care about family values? Everything has been a lie. And so for the right to say I'm being suspicious for saying, hey, I'm done with the lies, when you all have been calling me saying, is this true about your dad? Gosh, we're not going to win Georgia, this candidate, all. That's been you. Don't come for me. You don't have to like my politics. You don't have to like me. You don't have to. I'm just saying I'm done with the lies.
And sadly, despite the Republican Party showing their true colors and attacking Christian for speaking out, he has remained loyal to the far right and their draconian beliefs.
I did one event last year when we were told he was going to get ahead of his past and hold himself accountable. None of that happened. Everything's been a lie. Again, if I had an issue with whatever, I could have ended this day. That's not my intention.
Now, this last part about Christian ending this whole thing if he had an issue with what his father had done is why many people are questioning his intentions, especially since Christian continued to support his father even after he broke his promise. And look, I empathize with anyone who grew up in a broken home. Experiencing that type of trauma is not easy, and it's definitely not something you can just ignore. So while I'm glad to see Christian calling out his father's lies and the Republican Party's hypocrisy, I still take issue with Christian in what he stands for. His recent admission does not in any way absolve him of all of the idiotic, conspiratorial, hateful, fatphobic, transphobic, and bigoted things he has said and done in the past. For instance, here he is in a Starbucks drive-thru having a meltdown over pride flags.
These flags from hell should have been removed 13 days ago. Pride Month is over.
And then in that very same drive-thru, when singer Kehlani warned the Starbucks employees that Christian is a Trump supporter with a habit of harassing people, he got out of his car and verbally assaulted Kehlani.
Get your drink and go away. I can have an opinion like everybody else. Why are you entitled to an opinion and not me? You want to tell baristas I'm an asshole?
Yeah, I'm telling them to be.
Well, guess what? You're the asshole.
Christian literally filmed this interaction and then posted it to all of his social media accounts and thought he was in the right. And this is just one example. Anyway, let's get back to Herschel's denial press tour. Here he is chatting with Brian Kilmeade from Fox News.
According to the Daily Beast, you know this woman, even though her identity is not known. Have you figured out who it is?
Not at all.
Yeah, so it turns out Herschel does know who the woman is because she's the mother of his 10-year-old son. This woman has courageously come forward with additional details after Herschel continued to deny this abortion story. And this is how Herschel responded on the Hugh Hewitt show.
Yeah, I hate to have been born again, but I have a new life. And I've been moving forward, and if that had happened, I would have said it because there's nothing to be ashamed of there.
Wait, what was that?
And if that had happened, I would have said it because there's nothing to be ashamed of there.
He's using this forgiven, redeemed, born-again language to excuse anything he's ever done in his life, which would include the abortion he paid for in 2009. And the religious right is eating it up.
And we call forth your ministering angels to be his defenders. And we ask you to rebuke the devil.
Herschel even tried to hold a press conference with reporters, and it was an absolute train wreck of absurd explanations and denials.
Any of the mothers of your children?
No.
To ask why? Why not?
Why'd I need to?
Well, because according to the article, the woman who says that you paid for her to have an abortion is also the mother of one of your children. It seems like that's an easy way to...
Because of the article, I had more kids. That's why I didn't reach out to anyone, because I said no, and that's what I mean. When I said no, I said it's not correct, that's a lie. And that's what I mean, that's a lie.
Honestly, I really thought adding captions would help us better understand what he was saying, but nope. I'm still lost. Though, the one thing I did pick up on was that he keeps saying it's a lie. And when you know it, Herschel is the one that keeps lying. We learn that not only was this woman who got an abortion in 2009 the mother of Herschel's 10-year-old son, but he also urged her to get a second abortion in 2011, which she did not go through with. And the story doesn't end there. According to the woman, Herschel hardly knew his 10-year-old son, saying he had maybe only seen him 3 times, and had not spoken to her in years. And 2 of those meetings were related to child support hearings. She continued by saying she and Herschel communicated only through his wife Julie Blanchard, who the woman said sometimes called her to ask her son's size before sending gifts. And speaking of Julie Blanchard, here's a recent text message between her and the mother of Herschel's 10-year-old son. The woman asked Blanchard if she had previously known about the abortion, but instead of answering her question, Blanchard said she was incredibly sad and claimed that she continually tried to bridge a better relationship between the estranged family members. And it just keeps getting worse. Herschel never told the boy he had a half-brother until after the Daily Beast broke the news this June. The woman said she also didn't know about the other son, which she expressed in a text message to Blanchard the day after the story published. But that's weird because in August, Herschel told Brian Kilmeade that
they know that their dad loves them, and that's what counts.
This deadbeat dad loves his children so much that when his 10-year-old son asked, "What's my favorite color? What grade am I in? And how old am I?" Herschel responded the next afternoon with, "God bless you. Love you." And with this latest news, Herschel is now claiming that this is the first time this woman has ever mentioned to him or his wife, Julie Blanchard, that she had an abortion. Yeah, I'm gonna call on that excuse. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if we find out Herschel paid for more abortions with other women. And whether it's Donald Trump, Newt Gingrich, Rick Scott, Ted Cruz, or any other lowlife in the Republican Party, they will still support Walker. That's because Republicans don't actually care about human life. They just want more power. Just listen to ex-NRA spokesperson Dana Loesch.
I don't care if Herschel Walker paid to abort endangered baby eagles. I want control of the Senate.
And with the midterms next month, the Republican Party cannot replace Herschel Walker on the ballot this late into the campaign. So now, they have to double down and show full support for a candidate who has a history of lying, legal issues, and domestic violence. Republicans are the party of do as I say, not as I do. And they will do whatever it takes to beat the Democrats, even if it means abandoning their so-called morals and family values. And this is why it's so important that we vote them out in November. Oh, and one piece of advice for Herschel before I go. If you don't want people knowing you have secret children or that you paid for an abortion, then don't cheat in the first place. Well, I'm Gabe Sanchez, and this has been What Was That?